Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Grandma finally tells Rishi a shocking truth of how Lakshmi was about to leave her wedding with Vikrant so that she can come and save Rishi when his life was in danger during Lakshmi and Vikrant's marriage. And then the marriage preparation for Rishi and Malishka begins. So Grandma asked Lakshmi to come and prepare for the marriage. Grandma did this so that Lakshmi can stay in the house. So let's continue from there. Malishka goes to the room and gets angry, saying that this crook and cunning Lakshmi is returning to the house and says, I don't know why Lakshmi is taking revenge from me. Karishma comes there. Malishka tells her that Ayush trapped her, and because Rishi was there, she has to give permission to Lakshmi to stay in the house. Karishma says to Malishka that I will not scold you and says Rishi is doing a big foolishness and says tomorrow is Rishi and your engagement. I don't know what will happen. Malishka asks what will happen. Karishma tells Malishka that Neelam said that if Lakshmi come back, then Neelam will leave the house, and Malishka is shocked. Malishka says a big thing has happened and I did not know, and she asks Karishma if her engagement would happen. Karishma says I hope so, and Malishka is shocked. Virendra tells Grandma that he has talked to Neelam to convince her not to leave the house, but now he doesn't know what she will do, and now they are in dilemma. Malishka informs Kiran and Sonal about Neelam's decision of leaving the house if Lakshmi returns. Kiran says Neelam shouldn't have taken this decision. Malishka says she took this decision to stop Lakshmi. Sonal says this is a golden chance for Lakshmi. Sonal says I hope your engagement doesn't stop, and Kiran asks Sonal to talk positive and says Malishka has bear so much for this day. Sonal says to Kiran and Malishka that we should pray and focus that Rishi and Malishka's marriage should happen soon. Malishka says we make plans, but Lakshmi execute her plan. She says this time, Lakshmi will be defeated. Kiran says if Neelam leaves the house due to Lakshmi, then Rishi will not marry you due to Neelam, and then your marriage will stop. Sonal says to Kiran and Malishka that Neelam auntie will lose this challenge because nobody will let Lakshmi go away from the house. Malishka says she herself is losing due to Neelam auntie and Lakshmi. Shalu packs Lakshmi's stuff. Bani says tomorrow is brother-in-law and Malishka's ring ceremony, and Shalu says yes. Lakshmi comes there and says you might have known from Ayush that I am returning to the Oberoi house and you are already preparing to send me away. Shalu asks Lakshmi to go to her lover Rishi, and Lakshmi looks on. Lakshmi tells her sisters that she will not stop them even for a minute after Rishi's marriage, and she asks them not to hope that she will stay at the Oberoi house forever, and she asks them to bear the pain now rather than bearing the pain later. Shalu says she has ruined our hopes. Bani says whatever Lakshmi says doesn't matter because what will happen is what is written in her destiny. Vikrant comes to a restaurant and he checks the menu. He orders tea and looks at Malishka and Sonal who comes there. Malishka says, thank God Sonal, you have come back. Sonal says, I came for your marriage. Malishka says, I get strength from you and also peace, and Sonal smiles. Malishka gets a call from an unknown number, but she did not pick the call. Malishka says when her marriage was fixed last time, Rishi started drama and says she cannot share everything with her mom about her plans now. Sonal says your mom is living life on her own terms and she calls the waiter to order food. Malishka thinks that who is calling me again and again. Sonal asks her to pick the call. Malishka picks the call and says she doesn't want to attend to the call, and she asks that who is he. Vikrant says I thought you will understand who is calling you with my hello. Malishka says how dare you to call me after trying to kill my Rishi, and she asks him not to come in front of her. Vikrant asks Malishka to turn back and see. Malishka turns and looks at Vikrant. She gets up angrily holding the fork and says how dare you to try to kill Rishi, and says I will not leave you alive. Vikrant says I came for your betterment, and he asks her to listen. Sonal tells Malishka that if someone calls the police on us today, then your marriage will be stopped, and she asks her to calm down. Vikrant says to Malishka that trust me, I came for your betterment. Malishka says I will show you and I will take this fork too. Sonia is happy that Rishi's best friend Malishka will become her sister-in-law. She says that Lakshmi has left, so everything is fine. Neelam comes to the dining table and asks that why is everyone sad, and everyone looks on. Ranu asks Shalu and Bani why they made Awa. Lakshmi says they made Awa because I am going back to the Oberoi house, and Ranu gets happy. Neelam says I don't know if you would have food together like this again or not. Sonia asks why did you say this, and she asks Virendra to talk, but Virendra is silent. Rano says to Lakshmi that we would have awa and says if you don't want to eat it, then she will eat it. Bani says Shalu wants to say that my sister is going for Rishi and Malishka's marriage and then she will return here, and Rano is shocked. Grandma says to Sonia that your mom said that if Lakshmi comes here, then Neelam will go away from the house, and Sonia is shocked. Sonia says to everyone that Lakshmi is gone, so why would she come back here? She says if Lakshmi comes here, then I will kill her. And Rishi shouted Sonia, and Neelam tells Sonia that let others decide what they want now. Lakshmi asks Rano and her sisters that why should I stay at the Oberoi house after Rishi and Malishka's marriage, and with what right? Rano says that Lakshmi is right, and she asks Shalu and Bani if they will break Rishi and Malishka's marriage. She says if Lakshmi stays there, then people will talk bad about her. Lakshmi says that is why I don't want to stay there, because Rishi and Malishka's bond is set by God. Neelam asks Sonia not to do anything. Sonia says this is your house, so Lakshmi will go, and why do you want to go? Neelam asks Sonia not to do drama, and she should have food silently. Rano tells Lakshmi that she trusts her decision. Neelam thinks that nobody is saying that this house is mine and we will throw Lakshmi out. She says nobody is asking me to have food. Rishi asks Neelam, Virendra and Grandma to have food, and Neelam thinks that let's see what happens tomorrow. Malishka, Sonal and Vikrant comes out of the restaurant. Malishka asks Vikrant why did he try to kill Rishi, and says if he had not tried to kill Rishi, then Rishi wouldn't have exposed you. She says now you are hiding your face from the police, and says she will call the police. Sonal asks Malishka to calm down and says Vikrant is talking about your betterment, so they should hear what he wants to say. Malishka says to Sonal that Vikrant tried to kill my Rishi. Vikrant asks if Rishi has finally become yours. Sonal asks what are you saying? Vikrant asks that who is she? Malishka says Sonal is my best friend who can die for me, but she will not let anything happen to me. She says Sonal has spine unlike you who is a coward. Vikrant says to Malishka that I will get you married to Rishi. Malishka laughs and asks if Vikrant will get her married to Rishi. She says if you had married Lakshmi, then Rishi would have married me by now, but you couldn't even help yourself. Vikrant tells Malishka that Rishi and Lakshmi love each other a lot and they cannot stay without each other, so it is difficult to separate them. Malishka says to Vikrant that Rishi loves me a lot and he doesn't love Lakshmi. She says I don't trust you. Vikrant says as long as Lakshmi is there, you cannot marry Rishi. Malishka says she doesn't trust Vikrant and says Vikrant cannot do anything. Vikrant says your every foolishness will make you lose and says you have a chance and you can stop your loss by working with me. Malishka says to Vikrant that she doesn't want his help and she asks him to get out. Vikrant asks Malishka to think about it carefully and he goes. Sonal says Vikrant could have helped us, so why did you send him away? Malishka says Vikrant cannot even help himself, so how will he help me? She says you were not there when Vikrant lost and she asks Sonal to come with her. Neelam sees Virendra upset and sitting on the bed with his face turned over. Grandma recalls Neelam's words that she will stay back if they will throw Lakshmi out of the house. Malishka recalls Rishi's words that he cannot forget Lakshmi even if he marries Malishka. Malishka recalls Vikrant's words that Rishi and Lakshmi love each other a lot and she gets frustrated. Rishi looks at the moon and says, I don't know what tomorrow's sun will bring. Lakshmi also looks at the moon and says the sun and the moon blossom for each other. Rishi thinks that he never thought that his mom would do this and says if he chooses Lakshmi, then he has to leave his mom and vice versa. He thinks that this is a hard test. Lakshmi thinks that Rishi wants her to come back home, but many people don't want her to come. Rishi thinks that let's see what destiny has written for tomorrow, and Lakshmi also thinks the same. The next morning, Shalu prays to God and asks God not to let her sister get separated from brother-in-law. Bani asks God to make Lakshmi and Rishi's destiny one and to unite them. Lakshmi comes there and does the outie. She prays to God to give her strength to walk on the right path and nobody should get hurt because of her. She prays that she will bear anything and she asks God to be with her as her courage because Rishi was her courage before, but now he is becoming someone else, so God should please be with her. Virendra comes to the room and asks Neelam that why are you doing this? He says everyone is worried. Neelam asks if she is not worried and says, I am in tension and I am thinking if I will be able to attend my son's ring ceremony or not, or if that inauspicious girl Lakshmi will come here. Neelam says to Virendra that she is worried to know about her value and her place in the life of the people she has given her life to. She says she is worried, thinking if she will win or lose, and she asks Virendra to tell her who is more worried between them, but Virendra remains silent. Malishka comes to Rishi and says today is their life's biggest day because it is their ring ceremony day. Rishi asks if his mom has agreed. Malishka says yes. Rishi says mom will not leave the house and Lakshmi can stay here. Malishka says, I thought you are talking about our marriage. And Rishi says, I was asking if my mom has agreed not to leave the house. Malishka says to Rishi that she did not talk to Neelam auntie about this. Rishi asks Malishka to talk to his mom and says if Lakshmi would have been here, then mom would have agreed to stay back because Lakshmi would have convinced her. Malishka says auntie will not change her decision. Rishi says if mom said that she will leave the house, then she will leave the house, and he asks that even then, why is Malishka happy? Malishka thinks that she is sandwiched between Neelam and Rishi. She says to Rishi that Neelam auntie gave permission for Lakshmi to stay here for his happiness and says that Lakshmi is the reason for all their problems. She asks Rishi to throw Lakshmi out of the house, and if Rishi wants Lakshmi to stay, then Rishi should throw his mom out, who has given birth to him. She says, I will be with your decision because I will be your wife, and she asks Rishi to remember this. Lakshmi is leaving to the Oberoi house. Shalu says, I will come with you. Lakshmi says no. Rano tells Lakshmi that she wishes that Rishi and her divorce wouldn't have happened because their bond is the best. She says people used to look at her as the Oberoi in-law, but now nobody looks at her again, but she wants that respect again. Shalu tells Lakshmi that she will come with her. Bani asks Lakshmi to take Shalu and she prays to God to make Lakshmi and Rishi come back together again. Karishma thinks that mom and Virendra should throw Lakshmi out. She sees Lakshmi coming there with Shalu and she stops her and says you are not needed here. Lakshmi says to Karishma that I was called here. Karishma says we don't need you and she asks Lakshmi to leave. Rishi tried to stop Karishma. Virendra asks Karishma to talk peacefully. Karishma says peace has broken because of Lakshmi. She tells Lakshmi that fight has started here due to you and she asks her to go, but Rishi says aunt please. Shalu asks Ayush that what is happening. She asks if brother-in-law called her sister here for this insult. Ayush asks Shalu to be silent for some time. Karishma tells Lakshmi that she is and she would always be inauspicious. Shalu stops Karishma and says, don't say such things about my sister. Karishma says, how dare you to talk to me like this? Shalu says, just like you dare to talk to my sister, and they argue. Rishi says, aunt, whatever you are saying is baseless. Sonia comes there angrily and she tries to push Lakshmi out, holding her hand. Rishi and Virendra shouted Sonia. Sonia asks if Lakshmi came to snatch their happiness. Neelam says you will not stop Lakshmi, right? Sonia says to everyone that mom said that she will leave the house if Lakshmi comes here, and she asks Lakshmi to leave because her mom will leave if she enters. Sonia says that she will do something which she doesn't want to regret, and she asks Lakshmi to leave. Neelam says, Sonia, you will not throw Lakshmi out. Virendra says, Lakshmi is also my daughter. Sonia says you would have seen Lakshmi's standard before making her as your daughter. Virendra shouted at Sonia and he asked Neelam to leave her stubbornness. Neelam says to everyone that I have told everyone my decision and now you should tell me your decision. Lakshmi tells Virendra that father please and says she did not want to come here. Rishi says Lakshmi. Lakshmi says she did not want to come and she did not feel bad about anything and says that it was better if she had not come and she tried to go back. Neelam says Lakshmi, you will not go. Lakshmi says no mommy and then says Neelam auntie. She says she doesn't want to stay here and she will go. Neelam says you will not go. Karishma asks Neelam that what are you doing? Malishka asks that what is going on. Karishma asks if Neelam have changed her mind and Neelam looks on. Kiran tells Sona that today the Oberoi house might have become a battlefield. Sona asks her not to take stress and says that house and the family is of Neelam and they will not let her go. Kiran says if Neelam leaves the house, then the house will be shattered and says I have seen Neelam setting up the house and says Virendra is successful today because of Neelam's support. Sona says when you know all this, then they will also not forget and they will not let her go. Lakshmi asks Neelam to let her go. Neelam says you will not go when I am still talking. Grandma comes there and asks that why is there so much noise. Neelam says Lakshmi has come. Grandma says Lakshmi and she gets happy. Karishma asks if Grandma would do Lakshmi's outie. Grandma says yes and she asks Karishma to bring the outie tally. Karishma says I will never bring outie plate for Lakshmi and Grandma asks her to keep her mouth shut then. Kiran says to Sonal that the family all supports Lakshmi and Neelam must be fighting with them. She says what if they don't let Lakshmi go? Lakshmi tells Grandma that she have to go. Grandma asks Lakshmi to stop. Sonia says so you are not throwing Lakshmi out of the house and Grandma says I cannot throw Lakshmi out. Sonal tells Kiran that she wants to talk about Vikrant. Kiran says how do you know about Vikrant? Sonal says Malishka told me. Kiran says Vikrant tried to kill Rishi and says if something had happened to Rishi, then Malishka would have died. Sonal says Malishka told her everything and says that when they went to have coffee, then Vikrant met them there and he offered to help them and Kiran is shocked. Kiran says to Sonal that are you believing Vikrant? And she asks if Malishka asks for his help. Sonal says we will not trust Vikrant but we will use him to reach our goal. Kiran says we should not do anything because just Lakshmi alone is enough turn. Sonal says Lakshmi will leave from that house today. Kiran says I pray that this should happen and Sonal says this will definitely happen. Grandma says I will not let Lakshmi go. Sonal says then mom will leave the house. Grandma says so what? Lakshmi tells Grandma that Neelam auntie is the foundation of this house and this house will be shaken up if she leaves. Lakshmi asks Shalu to come and she is about to leave but Grandma stops Lakshmi. Malishka thinks that what has Grandma done? She has stopped Lakshmi. Karishma says to Grandma that you have stopped Lakshmi and this means that you will let sister-in-law Neelam go away from here. She asks that why are you giving Lakshmi so much importance? Plus my brother, he is not stopping Lakshmi and you Rishi, what should I even say about you? Karishma says Lakshmi has made relationship with Rishi and with my brother as she calls Rishi as friend and my brother as father respectively. Virendra says Lakshmi is my daughter and our relationship is not forced. Karishma asks that what do I say to open your eyes and she asks that do you all want Neelam's sister-in-law to go away from here? Sonia says Grandma, you used to tell us what mom has done for us and today I cannot understand that you are letting mom go away from this house. Lakshmi says Grandma and father please, I don't want Neelam auntie to go away from here and says please let me go. Neelam says I don't want your favor, sympathy or pity, so you will not go because Grandma says so. Virendra asks Neelam to calm down. Neelam says I am calm and says I am leaving the house and after I leave, there will be peace in the house. She says I accept your decision. Virendra says I don't want you to leave and says you are taking it wrongly. Neelam says I am wrong always in your sight. Rishi says you are a perfect mom and you are never wrong and he asks her to change her decision. Neelam says to Rishi that you are late and she asks Mukesh to bring her bag. Shalu says sorry to Neelam and she asks her not to leave the house. Ayush says aunt, please I will not let you go and he sits down. Neelam says my decision will not change. Karishma says Lakshmi is saying that she will leave and she begged Neelam not to leave but Neelam refused. Neelam is leaving the house while Mukesh is pushing her bag. Everyone tries to stop Neelam but she refused. Malishka asks Neelam that why are you leaving? Lakshmi said that she will leave. Neelam says no and she goes out of the house with her luggage. Malishka goes to his side and she thinks that what do I do now? Who will get my marriage done because Neelam auntie has left the house and Malishka gets frustrated. Okay guys, thank you so much guys for watching. Please don't forget to like this video, share it and I'll see you all again in my next video. Bye guys.